Hello Kaiju fans, welcome back to the Kaiju World Order. I am MM and this is Monster of the Week. This is the third video. The monster itself, of course, voted on by members of the Kaiju Hug Box. And this week's monster is SILVAGON, or SILVAGON, however you want to pronounce it. I don't think Subaraya really cares at this point. They're just happy you remember this monster. Not Subaraya, but SILVAGON originates from Ultraman Tiga. It originally appeared in episode 26. Now, this monster is actually pretty unique. It's not really an alien, it's not an ancient monster. We really don't know what it is. The monster itself appears to exist in its own dimension, in which the gateway is a rainbow. It's never fully explained what it is, it's never explained why it does this or how it exists, but within this little pocket dimension is where it does its hunting. This dimension can bring in other monsters, it can bring in humans. We do not know exactly how long it's been active, but we do know that another monster, Gagi, actually did get stuck in it and ended up fighting SILVAGON in the original episode. Gagi was a monster that Ultraman Tiga had fought before and struggled with. Now, of course, went up against SILVAGON. SILVAGON just manhandled it. Tore its whips off, beat it with its own appendages, and then eventually just killed it. So, the monster then turned its attention to a little family that had gotten stuck in it. Then Guts got involved, and eventually the fight between Ultraman Tiga and SILVAGON commenced. SILVAGON is a very physical monster. He's very strong. Even the staff behind it were calling it the Heisei era Red King. And it's a bully. It's a brute, but it is also not very smart. On more than one occasion, when Ultraman Tiga went to use his finisher attack, SILVAGON actually tried doing it himself without having any abilities. So right there, that shows just how dumb this monster really is, but it's played off in a comical effect. But for strength, this guy could easily give most Godzillas a run for their money. He might not be able to take their projectile attacks of most more powerful monsters like Space Godzilla and Godzilla, but for sheer brute force, this guy could definitely go toe-to-toe with somebody at least like GMK Godzilla. Maybe Heisei, but I'd put Heisei more on par of Ultraman Tiga's power mode, which is what ended up defeating the original SILVAGON. And, well, he simply outwitted him and overpowered him. And one way to actually get around SILVAGON's immense strength is his weakness, which is he can't see unless his opponent is moving. He is virtually the Jurassic Park T-Rex when it comes to eyesight. This is a weakness that is very exploitable, and Ultraman Tiga does this during the battle before finally defeating SILVAGON with the most ridiculous pile driver I have ever seen, and I am a professional wrestling fan. It is a cool attack, it's a cool scene, drives him headfirst into the ground, and that is it. SILVAGON is done. In the series that followed Ultraman Tiga in episode 16 of Ultraman Dyna, set 10 years after this episode, SILVAGON made a comeback as a clone. Now, this used the same exact suit as the original SILVAGON, but they had painted parts of the suit blue. The monster was brought back alongside Dyna original kaiju Sildron, and the two engaged in battle while Super Guts was investigating their own little mission of the week. SILVAGON, just like it did Gagi in the previous series, made very short work of Sildron, another monster that, just like Gagiaso, had given this series Ultra some trouble in its debut episode. But once the monster of this episode actually revealed itself, which was, of course, Neosaurus. Neosaurus was a monster that was designed by mad scientists using the DNA of SILVAGON, Sildron, and assumingly others to create a super monster. So, clone SILVAGON fought Neosaurus, and just like I had said about not being able to take beams all that well, SILVAGON was brought down by the much more impressive Neosaurus and a few hits with its helix beam. Unfortunately, that would be the last we would see of SILVAGON for quite some time. The monster wouldn't come back for Gaia, Max, of course, nothing. Thankfully, though, in the Ultimate Mebius movie, the Superior 8 Ultra Brothers, SILVAGON does come back finally after almost a decade. Now, he is brought back as King SILVAGON. He is brought back along with King Goldross. Goldross, of course, also being another Tiga Kaiju. And then a handful of Showa Kaiju like Pandon, Gasura, and Hipporito. SILVAGON and Goldross appear near the third act of the movie, where they attack the city and eventually have to fight Ultraman Tiga. And they are then attacked by the other Heisei Ultras before the Showa Ultras all join in. And really, all he is a mook. SILVAGON doesn't have his barrier, he doesn't have his super strength. They gave him a blue energy projectile attack, and that was it. So everything that had made SILVAGON impressive and powerful was stripped away while they added King to the name to justify the new suit, and that was it. King SILVAGON was destroyed. It was then brought back as part of the Giga Chimera, where it was one of the heads, and then Giga Chimera was then destroyed by the Ultras. And then unfortunately, SILVAGON's very last appearances were blink and you miss appearances in the Mega Monster Battle series, where they used the King SILVAGON suit, and he is cut down in the final battle. And then he also appears in an Ultraman Zero segment, or a Ultraman Zero Chronicle, or whatever that thing was called, where he is attacking some Phantons on their homeworld, and Zero shows up and just clobbers him, and signifies that SILVAGON, which was once a very powerful, very dominant monster of the Heisei era, had now been turned into a mook, which is something that unfortunately does happen with Ultra Kaiju a lot. Gudon, Birdon, they both come to mind. And I don't think we're going to see SILVAGON again, unfortunately. I think his time has come and gone. When Ultraman Trigger was announced to be a new generation Tiga, I was really hoping we would see SILVAGON pop up, especially since I thought the SILVAGON suit, or the King SILVAGON suit at least, should still be around. And it would just be nice to see King SILVAGON, because it is a cool suit, given the same sheer brute strength and interdimensional powers of the original SILVAGON. And then for merchandise, SILVAGON does not have a whole lot. Really, he is one of those monsters that's kind of forgettable if you are not really big into Ultraman. So right here, I do not have the original Bandai SILVAGON or the clone SILVAGON or whichever, but I do have the King SILVAGON. It's a neat little figure, nothing fancy. So let me see. And then I also have the Spark Doll, of course, released back in 2013. This is one of the original release Spark Dolls and has not been reissued since. I've seen these things pop up for quite a penny, considering I only spent $4 on this thing. So that really goes to show that no matter the size of the release, these things, if they're in demand, they will go up in price. that is it, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking out SILVAGON. Hope you learned something. Maybe you want to go out and check this monster out. Feel free to join the Kaiju Hug Box, where you can take part in the next poll, where the options are Godzilla 1955, otherwise known as Gigantus in the US, Zetus from Gamera the Brave, and Gualala from the X from Outer Space, and its sequel, The Return of Monster X. And then until next time, Kaiju fans, peace out, and Minya.
Godzilla says you should like and subscribe.